Richard Wolff, I think he's been a guest on your show a couple times, The Economist. And last week you were talking about protectionism regarding the Biden having that 100% tariff on Chinese cars. Mm-hmm. And Richard Wolff was a guest on R.J. Esco's show over this past weekend, and he was saying that a result of doing a tariff like that is it winds up costing the American car buyer more money for electrical cars, because then all of a sudden these dealers can charge a bit more. And so I was thinking maybe you could have him as a guest and explain that. I'm not all familiar with, how protectionism works and how that impacts
over the short term,
the buyer consumer.
Yeah, over the short term he's right. Over the long term he's completely wrong. What happens when, and we've seen this, walk into a Walmart and look around at the products, and probably 90% of the products made in Walmart or sold in Walmart are made in China. It used to be that here in the United States we had clothing mills where we made clothing, where we made raw fabric and then we sewed it into clothes, and it was a big business in the South and along the East Coast, South Carolina. In fact, in New York, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire back in 15, I think. That was a building that was devoted to sewing women's dresses. And so when we changed our trade policies in the early 1990s and started allowing Chinese and other fabrics to come into the United States, it wiped out an entire industry. The Ladies Garment Workers Union that used to do these ads back in the 50s and 60s, look for the union label, they're gone. I'm guessing the union's still around, but it probably has 500 members. So what happens, and it's not just that, it's not just clothing, it's that with manufacturing refrigerators or manufacturing computers or manufacturing televisions or manufacturing pretty much anything you can buy in a Walmart or in a Best Buy's, has been wiped out by cheap imports. And when those cheap imports first came into the United States, yes, they saved American consumers money, but they also wiped out American workers. They destroyed good-paying manufacturing jobs. And that's what will happen if Chinese cars come in. China's got a car that they sell at retail for $10,000. It's like about the size of a Volkswagen, but it's an all-electric car. It's a nice little car, 10 grand. But if you were to manufacture that car in the United States, it would cost 20 grand because they're making it with essentially slave labor. And so what the Biden administration is doing, and frankly what Donald Trump also suggested doing, is saying, we're going to put a 100% tariff on this car. You can still sell it in the United States if you want, but it's going to sell for 20 grand because that's what it would cost if it was made here. And we're doing that to keep an American industry in the United States. So, I'm not a fan of these neoliberals who go around saying, we should just allow free trade. I'm a fan of Alexander Hamilton's American plan, which George Washington adopted in the 1790s, and that put, in fact, the average tariff on all goods coming into the United States from the George Washington administration up until really the 1940s was around 35%. We had tariffs on everything. There's 20. You can still look at it on the U.S. Department of Commerce's website. There's 22,000 tariff categories: rolled steel, flat steel, bar steel, pipe steel. All these different things. And now all those tariffs now are like at 1%, 2%, or 0%, but they all used to be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60%. And that's why we made things in America. And when we eliminated those tariffs, which started in the mid-'80s under Reagan and Bush, and then really went on steroids in the 90s when Clinton signed the NAFTA agreement, when we eliminated those tariffs, guess what happened? 15,000 factories shut down and 20 million American high-paid union jobs vanished. And those vanished union jobs, that gutting of the American workforce, is the thing that is driving the white rage. Les Leopold just wrote a book about this. It's the thing that's driving the white rage that is the foundation of the Trump campaign. So, no, I think, if you accurately characterize what Richard said, I strongly disagree for the reason I just laid out for you, and I can defend that. In fact, I wrote a book about it, The Hidden History of Neoliberalism. You may want to read it. It just lays out this whole the whole argument that I just gave you. Dave, I got to move along, but thank you for the call. Good to hear from you.